Hello, this is Mina, Ayon, Soyun, and Sujong from class 5, and we are going to present the part 3 of Grammar as Science. In Grammar as Science, the author starts by reminding us of the concept of two different ambiguities. First, syntactic ambiguity is an ambiguity arises when a sentence can have more than one structure. On the other hand, semantic ambiguity is an ambiguity arises when a sentence can have more than one meaning. He strongly highlights that the two ambiguities are totally different in meaning. However, he has newly suggested to us the relationship between them. He has suggested that when semantic ambiguity does not arise from the ambiguity of each individual word, as in sentence 1, it can often arise from syntactic ambiguity. It can be shown by sentence 2. As you can see, sentence 2 has no ambiguity semantically. The ambiguity of the sentence arises from how the elements are grouped. As the adjective old modifies different groups in each tree diagram, it can be interpreted as all dogs and all cats were hungry, or all dogs and cats are old and they are both hungry. This property of structure level semantic ambiguity can be used as a constituency test. We cannot determine the exact grouping of the sentence. However, we can analyze the possible constituents of a sentence, and this analysis can serve as a strong clue for identifying the constituents.
Next, I'm going to tell you about two basic relations. The first concept of it is dominance. We can say that one note dominates another note when it is possible to go from one note to another in a tree by tracing a strictly downward path of branches. For example, if you look at this picture, we could find that there are two photos. The first picture insists that we should look whether the VP note dominates the P note. To reach the P note from VP note, we have to go down and again down. In contrast, in photo 2, they ask if the V note dominates the P note. If we trace up the tree, we can figure out that we have to go upwards. To conclude in one sentence, dominate can only be established when a note strictly traces downwards. The second concept of it is precedence. Precedence can be proved when the note don't dominate each other and when one note is placed left of the other. Please look at this tree over here. For example, MP2 note precedes the PP note because MP2 note and PP note are both daughter notes of the VP note. So it's obvious that they don't dominate each other, and of course the NP2 note is placed to the left of the PP note. Next is a structural prominence. See comment. To use our visual intuitions, NP1 is higher than V or NP2, hence more structurally prominent. Also, MP1 and VP are at the equal height, so it's equally prominent. To set it in order, one note has prominence over the other when they both don't dominate each other. And the first branching note that dominates one should also dominate the other. Here is another example. The first branching note that dominates MP1 is S, which dominates V and MP note, since the S dominates the note VP. But MP1 does not directly dominate MP2 and V, so we can say that MP1 has prominence over V and MP2. But from V and MP2's point of view, they don't have prominence over MP1 because the first branching node of V and MP2 is VP, which doesn't dominate MP1, so they fail to have prominence over MP1.
And then I will talk about negative polarity items. Negative polarity items, or NPIs, are words such as ever and anyone. They are called negative polarity because they are typically require because they typically require a negative trigger in order to appear naturally in a sentence. Common triggers include no, not, and, or expressions like no one and anything. For example, John didn't see anything is grammatical, while John saw anything is not. Likewise, no one will ever have pizza again sounds natural, but someone will ever have pizza again is unacceptable. These contrasts show that NPIs cannot stand alone and must rely on a negative element. However, the data also make clear that simply having a negative word in the same sentence is not enough. Consider the word any. Sentences such as no one saw anything or Homer gave nothing to anyone are well formed. Yet sentences like anyone saw nothing or Homer gave anything to no one are not. Both groups of sentences contain a negative element, but only the first group is acceptable. This suggests that NPIs require more than mere co-occurrence with a negative word. Instead, there are additional conditions that determine whether the combination is grammatical. The contrast between no one saw anything and anyone saw nothing, or between Homer gave nothing to anyone and Homer gave anything to no one, illustrate that relationship between the trigger and the NPI must satisfy stricter requirements than just being in the same sentence. Now I'll explain reflexive pronouns such as himself, herself, itself, and themselves. I classified its characteristics into three categories. First, reflexives cannot stand alone. They cannot appear alone in a sentence. For example, the sentence Homer left is grammatical, but himself left is ungrammatical. Second, reflexives need an antecedent. A reflexive must refer back to another noun in the same sentence called the antecedent. For example, in sentence Homer left himself is grammatical, and in this sentence Homer is the antecedent of himself. But the antecedent should be appropriate with person, number, and gender. So the sentence Homer gave herself to Mert is ungrammatical. Last, not any noun works as an antecedent. It's not enough just to have another noun in the sentence. The sentence himself saw Homer is ungrammatical because reflexive must be bound to the right subject in the right position, just as NPI. So the reflexive pronouns need a proper antecedent in the same sentence, and the relation between them follows strict rules. This makes reflexives different from normal pronouns like he or she. Now let's see each the other. This structure shows pairwise relationships. For example, in the sentence each man saw the other, it means that every man saw the remaining member of the pair. So we can say that it establishes a pairwise relation between members of some set. While studying these topics, we could learn how English grammar links form and meaning from ambiguity and sentence relations to structural prominence and context-sensitive items like NPIs. We also showed that how special dependencies work, such as reflexive pronouns needing antecedents and each the other expressing pairwise relations. Thank you for listening.